I think I was just able to sign on.
Oh,
I
I
tried
see it
again.
now.
Yes. I don't know what happened. Maybe my internet was a little shaky before. All right. So Marisha, can you send out the link for those who can't join on Zoom?
Sure.
So I don't want to press anything. All right. So it says here that we are live. So I just want to welcome everyone again to our Summer Brata meeting. And we will be speaking with Dr. Margaret Barnett, or sorry, we will be listening to Dr. Margaret Barnett for the first part of this meeting, and she will be enlightening us on the field of forensic psychology. So without any further ado, I would just like to, Dr. Barnett, are you okay?
I am doing well. I'm very well. Very, very well.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm just gonna do a brief introduction, and then it's over to you because I want to really use up the time for the purpose that we're here for. So, Dr. Margaret Barnett is a licensed industrial and organizational psychologist who has spent over 20 years working in private and nonprofit organizations, focusing on providing services to young people and their families. Dr. Barnett's roles include being a counselor, a program director, a trainer, project manager, and a skilled professional speaker and writer about human capacity building and organizational development. Dr. Barnett is also a lecturer. Her mission is to be purpose-driven, to use her gifts to impact and influence others to be their best selves, whilst also living a balanced life. I just want you to join me in welcoming Dr. Barnett. Her bio doesn't say this, but from my interaction with her, she is a generous soul, and her reputation precedes her bio because she was so open to meeting with us at such short notice. So welcome, Dr. Barnett.
Okay, great. So thank you, Aldi. Thank you so much. It is my pleasure to meet you, to see you. And I guess we have to get used to these virtual meetings,
Yes.
to meet you in the virtual space. So I really want to thank you for this opportunity to just talk and interact with young people. And at this particular stage where you guys are at the stage where you want to say, should I go on this road and that road, etc. But before I go into any of that, I would just like to recognize on the platform my acting president, the president of the Jamaica Theological Seminary, Dr. Winston Thompson. Right now he's in North America. And so I just want to welcome him and to recognize that he's here on the platform with me, because you know that I can't do it all alone. I have to carry a man with me. You know that. You know it already, right? Okay. So Dr. Thompson, thank you so much for being here. And the welcome that has been extended to me goes also to you.
My pleasure, Dr. Barnett. Thank you much.
Great. All right. So Aldit, I want to congratulate all the persons who are here, even though you are doing an extra course in the summer. I believe that you're on the path of completion, and some of you have gotten your letter or say, you know, I have completed. I am an alumnus of the University of the West Indies. I spent many years there. And so I understand, you know, the summer and understand how we wanted to see the back of summer. So congratulations, Guy. Marisha, who is having a birthday tomorrow, blessings on you. I hope that the day will be full of fun and laughter. And so I was asked.
I received that wholeheartedly.
Great. You're welcome. So I was asked by Aldit to come and talk to you. And Aldit, I must confess that this morning when you sent the WhatsApp and the thing to me, and I was writing a report, you know, I do a lot of assessments, and I was in the middle of the report. And when I saw the little advertisement, I said, oh my God, If you notice, I said, I'll do it, and then I didn't bother to talk to you. I said, guess what? If this is how they are putting the conversation, then I have to make it a little more sexy. So I went to add some more, and it's okay to talk about sex here, right? I went to
Yes,
put a little more flavor onto it. That thing. So thank you so much. You have already done an introduction, but I just like to put myself in context. And when I say in context, I didn't even know why you asked me to come. So I thought I was coming on Jamaica Theological Seminary because I think it was in that context that the person said something. But just for a little, because you are all in psychology, and it is important that you know what is happening in not only the local environment, but also in the regional environment. And so as it sits now, I am the Vice President for the Caribbean Alliance of National Psychological Associations. And that is a Caribbean entity that looks at the psychology and the development of psychology in the region. And you know that what we read in the textbook in terms of America and Europe and all of that, we have to look at it very, very carefully when we come on to the Caribbean and also when we come on to Jamaica. And so I wanted to put that in so that you guys know where you can serve and know what you can do. I also sit as the Director of Advocacy for the Jamaican Psychological Society. And I hope that everybody who is here is a student member of JamPsych. Okay, I know our representative have been very active, and so I hope that you are a student member. I'm also a member of the American Psychological Association, and finally, but not the least, I am the program director of forensic psychology at the Jamaica Theological Seminary. And in a little while, I will tell you what that is. And I know some of you saying, Jamaica Theological Seminary, what am I doing with this? But this afternoon, I just like to have a conversation about what is forensic psychology. And I'll tell you how I got there, because my bio says I'm
Dr. Barnett, we have lost sound from you.
You have?
Okay.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was muted. I don't know. They said the host muted me.
Oh,
okay.
Sorry.
So forensic psychology, what is it? The American Psychological Association, APA, defines forensic psychology as the use of clinical specialties in the legal system. So forensic psychology is the coming together, the integration of psychology and law, okay? So a forensic psychologist applies psychological principles, data, research, and theory to provide an explanation for criminal acts and behavior. And the practice helps to determine whether an accused person should be convicted or pardoned by his or her actions. And that is according to the American Psychological Association. And as I am having this conversation with you, I would like you to keep thinking and keep broadening your horizon, and just seeing how can forensic psychology help with what is happening in your environment. And kind of saying this whispering, maybe some of you thinking of going overseas to study, or some of you may think to go to Canada because it's better there. But wherever we go, we want to make sure that we take care of what we have here. And so one of the things that I always tell my listeners when I'm talking is that I keep Vision 2030 in my forefront. And Vision 2030 says, and that is Jamaica's Vision 2030, says we want Jamaica to be a place where we can live and work and do business and raise our children and just have fun. That's the Jamaica that we want. And all of that is around the human capital, the human resource. And so if you understand what is happening in terms of of Jamaica and the violence and the criminality and, you know, just how we deal with each other, then you can see that there is a need. There is a need for forensic psychologists. Some of you will recall Lee Boyd Malvo. Maybe you're too young to remember who is Lee Boyd Malvo, but he was a young man that left Jamaica and came here in the United States and got himself in criminal activities, etc. And it was a forensic psychologist here in the US who is working and still continue to work with Lee Boyd Malvo, and so was able to stave off some of the sentencing, whatever. You can go online and you can read it. He was a young man out of St. Mary. You would have heard also about persons who have been incarcerated and they are mentally unwell and all of that. So as you are thinking about whether or not you should do clinical, forensic, counseling, medical, whatever psychology, think about how the nation, Jamaica, needs you at this time. So I think that I would make a distinction between forensic science and forensic psychology at this point, because I didn't want us to get confused. And I'm not sure why it is taking me so long to manipulate my screen. But here we are again, and this is the US Department of Justice, and you are all university students, and you know that we must give credit where credit is due, right? So the US Department of Justice says that forensic scientists, and that is forensic science, and we have the forensic scientists, they examine, analyze evidence from crime scenes elsewhere to develop objective findings that can assist in the investigation and prosecution of perpetrators of crime or absolve any innocent person from suspicion. Common forensic science laboratory disciplines include forensic molecular biology, DNA, forensic chemistry, trace evidence examination. Here's, you know, all of that. The sort of things that we see on CSI, if you watch CSI. I love to watch it, okay? So we're not talking here about the forensic science, we're talking about forensic psychology, but I know a lot of times we get it mixed up. But as students of UWI, the UWI, I know you don't get it mixed up. So what do forensic psychologists do? Forensic psychologist is a field that deals with both psychology and the law, and forensic psychologists can perform many roles, and it is definitely, as I said before, not CSI, not what we see with NYS. Forensic psychologists are involved in different aspects of law, example, criminal, mentally ill offenders, civil, psychological injury, and family, custody of children or divorce, family, parental fitness. And there's a broader application, can also include offender profiling, police and criminal justice personnel selection, terrorism, sex offending, violence, risk assessment, offender assessment and treatment, and rehabilitation and expert witnesses. And I don't know to what extent, you know, I know you sometimes can get very, you don't have any time to read the paper or to listen to the news because you have to be studying. And everybody, I noticed Marisha said, I'm going to end up with a honors degree. Oh my goodness. I remember when that was something. Every time we get the thing, we make sure we get an A, and we are on the road to get first class or second class honors. But if you have been paying attention to what is happening and what is happening in terms of the development of the justice system in Jamaica, I could add here trafficking in person, and I could add other things that are what we call it now. Wow, I forgot that one. I'm not remembering it now. But really and truly, the Justice Department is trying to ensure. And I was trying to talk with my colleagues in the national security just to get whether or not in the acts and in the law if there is anything mentioned about forensic psychologists, because I know they call on us a whole heap to do this and to do that. There's also another field that is called forensic psychiatrists, okay? And there's a difference between psychiatry and psychologists, okay? Moving on. By the way, guys, you can stop me anytime. How is it different from clinical evaluation? Remember I said to you, you are undergrads, and so you're looking now, and I hope, I pray and I hope that you're staying in. Jay Swaby, you have raised your hand? You may go ahead.
Right. Sorry. Good afternoon again, everybody. You touched about forensic science. Is that basically criminology, or is there a difference between criminology and forensic psychology as well as forensic science?
What the J stands for? Is it John?
It's actually Joe Valerio. Let me rename myself. Sorry.
All right, Joe. And I know Joe sound old, but work with Joe for now.
That's fine.
I wanted to go online because I wanted to find out when Uwi has a course that is called criminal justice or criminology, whether or not that is part of it. I know a student of mine did forensic science at Uwi. And so I don't know if that is what the course is called. I know it was done at the master's level, I'm not quite sure, Joe, but forensic science has to do with the lab work, how you test for the DNA, how you get a sample. If you found some fingerprints at the scene of a crime, how do you deal with that? How do you take the fingerprints? That sort of thing. Whether or not it is part of what happens at UWI, I can't say that at this point. I really should have done the research, but I didn't. Okay? Have I answered your question? Good. Yes.
Another thing, right. So when I was researching on whether I should be a criminologist or another profession in psychology, I came across a criminologist also analyze evidence. So I was just wondering if the two are related, or if it's the same thing rather.
When you say analyze evidence, is it in terms of fingerprinting?
Right, evidence that would like
not fingerprinting, but handwriting.
Among.
Okay. Right. So that would fall in the realm of forensic science.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Good. I think in you may find some overlap somewhere, because psychology is in everything that we do. Okay. So how is it that it is different from clinical evaluation? And here, as you are at the undergrad level and thinking where you should go, and I really hope that you all stay in psychology. I see your hand, Cheryl, and I'll come to you in a little while. There is clinical psychology. So when we're talking about clinical evaluation here, we're talking about what clinical psychologists do. Right now in Jamaica, we are having clinical psychologists that are doing forensic evaluation. Cheryl, you have your hand up.
Oh, yes, Miss. I was listening to that young man just now, and assuming what he's asking is what is the difference between criminology and forensic psychology. I think that's what he's asking. That's what I understood from what he was saying. So it kind of got me confused.
All right. So Cheryl, the best thing that I can say at this time is that I don't know. I did not do my research on criminology, and so I don't want to confuse you. Okay.
All right, no problem.
Good. If you remember, I said I should have done some research on that, but I didn't do it. Okay.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
All right, no problem, Cheryl. How is it different from clinical evaluation? So forensic psychology and clinical assessment follow the same procedures of evaluation, but differ in the way each field is practiced. So we're talking about the clinical psychologist and we're talking about the forensic psychologist. A person who goes for a clinical assessment does so on his or her own volition. And they have control over the choice of diagnosis and treatment. In forensic evaluation, the client is often ordered by the court or advised by his or her attorney to undergo the assessment procedure. And there is a very marked distinction here, because if you, I don't know how much, if you did ethics in the undergrad, but if you did ethics, you will remember that there is a thing that is called privacy and confidentiality. In forensic psychology, confidentiality and privacy now, there is turned on its head, because it is the court that is asking for an evaluation, then you don't have to ask the client if you can disclose, because you are bound to disclose. We'll get in that when you all register for forensic psychology. Okay, I wanted to make that distinction right there. So some of the functions typically performed within the forensic psychology include competency evaluation, and competency here is this person competent to plead, and competent to plead, I'm guilty or I'm not guilty, and child custody evaluation, sentencing recommendations, evaluations of the risk of reoffending, and the testimony as an expert witness. And I want to stop here a little, because as I was saying, you know, I finished with this and I'm going to go now to present to these students. I wanted to talk about what it means to be a forensic psychologist. And if you understand what your work and the importance of your work on people's life and the environment, the community on a whole, you will understand how very important it is to make sure that you know your work, when you go in a courtroom and you're giving testimony as an expert witness, you must make sure that you are the expert. You say, like how Cheryl said, boy, you just confused me a while ago. I said, boy, Cheryl, me never do that. Me never studied that part there. And me never do the research on that, so I can't answer it. As a forensic psychologist, we do not have that luxury to say to the judge that I didn't do that research. We must think about all the possible questions that are going to be asked. So when we go to give this expert testimony, that we are able to stand up. When is a forensic assessment required? A forensic assessment is required when there is complex legal question, such as insanity or mental competence, that can only be answered by a professional psychologist. In this case, a psychologist is hired to determine the accused person's mental and psychological status. The psychologist will conduct clinical interviews with the defendant, as well as collateral interviews with family, friends, witnesses, police officers, attorneys, and other relevant parties. Sometimes you will see persons going in communities. Sometimes they go way back into prep school or primary school to ask, how did Margaret behave in school? Did she show any signs of abuse and all of that sort of thing? Because all of that is going to come to bear on your testimony that you're going to give as an expert witness, or the recommendation you're going to give, etc. When is a forensic assessment required? I think I may have gone through that already. Yeah. Where is it used? Forensic psychology is used in a wide range of evaluation tasks, including child custody evaluation. We talk about that, counseling victims of crime, and threat of evaluations for school. Death notification processes, screening and recruitment of law enforcement officers. And this is a good one. I like this one because that's where I spend a lot of my time in assessments etc. Post-traumatic stress disorder evaluation, assessment of treatment programs for adult and juvenile offenders. And it is also used in courtroom, schools, and in counseling for social work, in counseling fields and social work. And we know when we talk about post-traumatic stress disorder evaluation, we know the importance of that in terms of persons committing, persons in abuse, in terms of crime, violence, etc., and all of that. Okay, so I stated that. So where can you study forensic psychologists? Many years ago, I'm a regular person at the American Psychological Association conferences, which happens like next month. And I was there and I went into a presentation, and I just listened and my research, and I'm always trying to find out how is it, as we are in academia, how can we make Jamaica better and how can we contribute to the development of Jamaica? And in my research, I found that there was nowhere in Jamaica that offered forensic psychology. And you guys have come to psychology at a good time. My time at Uwi, I remember sitting in the dean's office and I said, this is what I wanted to do. And he said, we don't offer it here. You may have to look overseas. And so I did my graduate studies, PhD in foreign lands. And if you check now, most of our psychologists here in Jamaica really study overseas. So you are at a good point when the Jamaican Psychological Society is trying to inform and to influence what happens in terms of academia. What are the things we need to do to ensure that the profession of psychology is really adding to the well-being of the society? And so based on my involvement at the Jamaica Theological Seminary, along with my colleagues who are in the US, in Colorado. Wow, I'm sorry. In Colorado, we came to Jamaica Theological Seminary and we offered to develop the program there. And that happened in 2018. So we have at the Jamaica Theological Seminary a Master's of Arts in forensic psychology. And this is, the lecturers in this program are all out of the US, because you will remember that I've said that there is no other institution in Jamaica that offers forensic psychology. Oh, I'm so sorry. I took these out of another PowerPoint. All right. So yeah. So the Masters of Arts in the Forensic Psychology at the Jamaica Theological Seminary is the requirements to get there is a Bachelor of Arts from an accredited institution such as the UWI, or persons can come in with just a bachelor's degree and that is not in psychology, because there are prerequisite courses that may be passed before enrollment in the forensic psychology. And of course, you have to submit your official transcripts for evaluation. Oh man, come on. The program is a 60 credit program that is completed over a 24 months period. It's all online. All our lecturers, not all, some of them, depending on which module is being done, especially when persons are at the finalizing stage, They will come down and they will do workshops or to do some hands-on. The foundation courses, there are 12 credits. The core courses are 12. The specialization courses are 12. Of course, there's a practicum that has 500 hours. And what happened here with our first cohort, when they were ready for graduation, COVID came. And so their practicum got derailed a little. And so what happened here is that they had to do most of their practicum with our overseas partners in their practice and in their therapy sessions and assessment sessions, etc. And so they're trying to complete their practicum now. And so we have not had a graduating cohort as yet. The thesis, now persons have an option whether to do a written thesis or they can do what we call a comprehensive examination. What are the foundation courses? Introduction to Forensic Psychological Science, Psychopathology, Personality Disorders, Behavioral Intervention in Forensic Settings, Psychometrics and Basics of Assessment in Forensic Psychology, and Research Methods. I know that somebody will say, hey, we have done psychopathology already. You may have done it at the undergrad level. There is a master's level. Research methods. I don't know if your program of studies would have, you would have done research methods and psychometrics. So these are the foundation courses. And then we have some specialization courses, clinical assessments in forensic practice, risk assessments in forensic practice, advanced psychotherapy, and the psychology of human trafficking. Yeah, I'm going to stop there, Aldit, and then ask you to see whether or not persons have any questions they want to ask at this time.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Barnett. I am not seeing any questions in the chat at this point, so I would just invite persons, if it is that they have any questions, to just raise their hands. And I'm seeing where Javalerio has put up his hand. I'm not sure if it's a question or a comment. Go ahead, Javalerio.
Right, it's a question. You were saying something, Dr. Margaret, about a Bachelor's of Arts. So I'm just asking, what's the difference really between that and a Bachelor's of Science? Because I think at Uwi, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that what we get is a Bachelor's of Science.
No, if I said Bachelor of Arts, it must have been a slip. It's a bachelor's degree. So whether it is a Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Arts, the point I'm making about a bachelor's degree is that if your degree is not in psychology, then any degree from an accredited institution, an accredited degree can take you into the program because there are prerequisites that persons can do.
Okay, thank you. Also, what can an individual do upon completing their bachelor's degree in terms of funding for their master's degree in forensic psychology? Or is it that you went straight into your master's?
There are persons who go straight into your master's. What that does for you is that it shortens your PhD. Oh, I need to say this at this point, that at the undergrad level, you can't practice as a psychologist. You just have a degree in psychology, okay? At the master's level, you can practice with supervision, and you're called an associate psychologist. You're only called a psychologist when you have a PhD in psychology. Okay, so I wanted to make that reference. In Jamaica, persons have to be licensed to practice as psychologists, whether at the associate level or at the PhD level. So what can you do for in terms of work? Persons who have a psychology degree can work in marketing. Persons can work in a psychology practice. You may have your lecturers that you can be their TA, their teaching assistants, or they could take you into their practice if they have that kind of leverage. And persons can also work in human resource. Persons can work in the police, in the force. It doesn't have to be the police. It can also be at the military level, and that could give you funding to get funding to study at the master's level. Did that answer your question? I want to make sure that I'm answering the question you have asked.
Yes, it did. Thank you so much. My final question.
Mhm.
You're licensed in IO psychologist, right?
Yes.
Is it that you switched, or
Yes.
is it that you can?
No. Let me say that quickly. I want to say
Okay.
it quickly. I was going to change it for Aldit, but I'm not. Yes, I was going to change it, Aldit. I'm also once I started working, and I do a lot of work in organizations, I realized that there is a need for clinical work. And so I went studying, and I am a book person. My children say that I'm perpetually studying. And that's what psychology and any profession it is, that professional development is important. And so I have studied clinical psychology. Right now, I am doing the master's at JTS in forensic psychology, just to make sure that the breadth of what I do, I take everything in. So specialization is important. We can't do everything. And if I'm licensed in IO psychology, I can't practice in terms of forensic, and I can't practice in terms of any other. That's where I need to stay. And so every branch of psychology that you go into, you need to be able to get licensed in that. And licensing comes with some prerequisites.
All right. Thank you.
You are welcome.
So Dr. Barnett, so you're saying unless you're trained in counseling psychology, you couldn't do clinical psychology and then practice as a counseling psychologist?
That clinical psychology is a catch-all. So as I said before, you have clinical psychologists who are practicing in forensic psychology. And if you're a clinical psychologist, you can also do psychotherapy.
Okay.
You know that there's a difference between counseling and psychotherapy, right?
I know that there is a difference. I can't say that I know the complete difference.
Yes.
I guess the psychotherapy would include more practical stuff in terms of the theories, the existing theories, and so on. I'm assuming.
Well, when
right.
I mean, somebody can come to me for counseling, and I can do talk therapy, eh?
Right.
But we must realize when the person needs more, and the more is the psychotherapy, is what persons who are trained clinically will do with persons. So you're going to go to the root of what the problem is. There are quite a number of persons who are counseling who have not, and some counseling psychologists would have done some psychotherapy too.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask a question that is really relevant, and I will ask the question. So you offer at JTS, you offer the masters in forensic psychology. What kind of costs are we looking at for that course?
Okay, is Dr. Thompson still on? Dr. Thompson? Dr. Thompson?
Yes, Dr. Barnett.
Yes. The question is about the cost for the program.
At the moment, that program is 1.2 million, covering the entire package.
That's for the 2 years?
Yes.
Okay, so you're looking at 550, 500 and something, or 600,000 per
Right.
year.
Yes.
And it's quoted in Jamaican dollars, sir?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that is great. Thank you.
And we're considering changing it, so this might be a good time to catch it at this rate.
Well, I thank you for that. So ladies and gentlemen, we didn't hear the process in terms of the timelines for applications.
JTS is a very flexible, customer-centric institution. And so once there is an interest in one of our programs, we work with you as closely as possible to make it worth the while to engage with JTS. So if there is an interest, we can work with you, up until the time classes begin.
Okay, thank you. And classes usually begin in September?
Yes.
What's your semester? Is September and December, and then September to December, and then January?
Yes.
What? January to May?
January, yes, that's about what, right.
And do you offer any programs in the summer, any courses in the summer as it relates to the master's program?
Yeah, that is something we are considering. And if we have a cohort, good enough cohort, we certainly can offer courses in the summertime.
Okay, thank you.
Can I give a shout out to Levon? Levon is our very industrious admin assistant at the Jamaican Psychological Society. Levon, it's good to see you here. Hope you're online. Levon.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing great.
Okay, I'm great. I'm glad I came out to see you today. You're awesome.
Okay, all right. Thank you, son.
And I see Levon has been sending out the links for JamPsych in the chat.
Yes.
So he's canvassing here.
Yes.
We do have some members, Javon, who are also members of the JamPsych. Myself, I am one, and I think Javalerio as well. So guys, I really encourage you to join up with JamPsych. There are a number of opportunities, training opportunities that are available, and you get the emails once you are a member. So, it helps you to widen your scope so you can, have a better sense of what the offerings are out there.
Joe, I see your hand. You may go ahead.
Right. Just another question from me. Re-internship. Is there any? Would you have to do it overseas, or is it a case where you guys offer some sort of internship for those interested in forensics?
Okay, we don't have an internship. What we have is practicum. And that is where you would go into the organizations. Right now, it is the Ministry of National Security, where we are working with very assiduously. There is child diversion program. That's what I was trying to remember. The child diversion program, the trafficking in person program. Those are places where our students will be doing their practicum. Right now, they're not physically, but virtually overseas. And that is all because of COVID, okay? And you know that COVID has changed a lot of things, how things happen even in our online therapy sessions, etc.
Okay, thank you. As well, does the Jamaica Theological Seminary offers career advice in terms of helping you to get a job or something along those lines after you complete your master's degree?
Yes. Okay, so we have a student services division unit, and that's what and that unit is connected to the external environment in terms of connecting our students with different businesses, etc., where they can find, even while you're studying, to find opportunities for employment. So the answer is yes, the student services division does that.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm happy. Thank you so much. I'm happy to see so many male. I'm just reading Andre, Joe, Tyreek. We need a lot of men in psychology, and I hope you're going to continue somewhere, somehow. I hope you do take the plunge with the forensic psychology, because we just need men in psychology. And so I'm happy to see you guys here and would love to have another chat with you. Because it was such short notice, I didn't get an opportunity to ask some of our lecturers from overseas who are really in forensic psych to come and just to, boost you guys up a little more. Not many persons. We have a lot of persons in clinical. We have a lot of persons in counseling, but forensic, we don't have a lot of persons. We are breaking some new grounds at the theological seminary, and we are making sure that the product is good and that the persons who are going to work with the product, and the product here is just the skill sets and the people that are interacting with it, that they are going to be able to transform what happens in our justice system.
Well, Dr. Barnett, I am really grateful. You are right on time. It's not too late. And I guarantee you that, well, myself, Marisha, Kajamba, and so on, we're the outgoing execs, but we introduced a series last academic year, where we had various psychologists or professionals within the different areas come in and speak to the students. So I am hoping that is a trend that the new exec, once they come in, they will continue with that. So we provide persons with information on clinical psychology, education psychology, that kind of thing. So we really wanted to do a forensic, but we could not get our hands on. We just didn't know how to get that one in. So you really are a blessing. So I can encourage you to look out. I will say to you, look out for the new exec to make contact with you, so you can have a more fulsome presentation to give them more insight as to what exactly, because my mind is racing now and I'm like, okay, but what, after we did such an intense training with psychology at the undergrad level, I am wondering, okay, so what else could be in this forensic now, when you start talking about specialization and so on. So I am excited. So guys, please make sure you keep me in the loop when you bring back Dr. Barnett and her colleagues to talk about forensic psychology, because it's very interesting.
All right, so there are two very interesting questions in the chat. One of the things about psychology in Jamaica and the Caribbean is that we are small. Everybody knows everybody. And so, Andre, as you say, where would you find work or employment? How would you go about employment? Let me tell you something. You see, when you get into, and the government needs forensic psychologists now. There are 2 attempts that I made before, I should have made before I come, but everybody is so busy and thing. And so I know I'm whetting the appetite, Aldith. I wanted somebody from the Ministry of National Security to be here. And then you would understand the importance and the need for forensic psychologists. I know that JAMPSych is doing a mentorship program. And so I would like to take, like Andre, with me when we're going to the meetings, when we're going to the prisons, or yes, the prisons, that's what we call them in Jamaica. We call them that. And just to see how forensic psychologists and how forensic psych works. When you have a child in school who, or even, let me take out school because some of you may be going into organizations to work. When you're in an organization and you see a worker who is underperforming and you're trying to understand what's happening here, and you may realize that the person is a victim of violence, domestic violence, then you as a forensic psychologist should be able to, because part of the program is about intimate partner violence. How does it manifest itself? How could you, the person may be at the verge of losing their job. How do you use forensic skills to say, hey, this is what is happening, so that the organization can find a way to help the person? I am just, so you're getting me very worked up now, but I know my time is out. But if you understand the role that you play as a psychologist in society, then I'm imploring all of you, especially my males that are here. I'm imploring you to stick with psychology. And if you notice, I'm not selling any particular thing. When Aldit called me, I really say, I'm coming to sell JTS, and that is really important. What I'm selling is a forensic psychology. And I will say, and I say with no reservation, that Jamaica Theological Seminary has a very robust, has a program that has integrity in it. So we're not just skimming the surface. And I may just pull one of you into the assessment that is going on, so you can see what assessment in forensic psychology is all about and get you guys interested. The legal system, Jamaica needs more forensic psychologists. There's a place for you, and I'm going to say to you, as you contemplate, as you're doing your research, contemplate forensic psychology. And if you're staying in Jamaica, and when Dr. Thompson spoke about the cost of the program, I said, that's very cheap. And it may cheapen the program. And you said, then if it's a cost that, it can be good. You understand what I'm saying to you? So we have to push up the cost a little more, Dr. Thompson, so that persons can understand what is it, the product that we are selling. A candidate would have to have had studied the law as thoroughly as lawyers as a prerequisite. No, not at all. Not at all. But you should know the law. You should know the Constitution. You should know the law as it pertains to child abuse. You should know the law as it pertains to domestic violence. You should know the law as it pertains to sexual harassment. You should know the law. You should know the law as it pertains to the rights of the person, etc., etc. So as you're doing your research, you have the law, you have the acts with you and thing. And you're going to find that if you're not surface, and one of the things, that I always hear Dr. Birgit Fisher, who is a personal friend and is an American out of Colorado, a very renowned forensic psychologist. And she started out first in clinical psychology. And she would say how she made her mark was that she was very thorough. And so you have to be thorough, even when it comes to assessment. Can you imagine if you make a wrong assessment and somebody's life get at stake, or if you make the wrong assessment and the public is going to suffer from that? No, you don't have to do law before. Okay. Joe.
All right. Sorry. I'm just interested in what your institution has to offer, because really and truly, you're the first institution I heard that actually offered something in Jamaica that I'm actually interested in.
Mhm.
My question to you now is, do you have a part-time program for students where students can study? Because for me, after graduating with my bachelor's, I won't be able to fund myself fully for my master's degree, and I'm wholeheartedly trying to avoid student loan. Do you have a part-time program for students like us?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Very good question. We understand the challenge that persons have to pay for a master's program. And so the program is solely part-time, and it is also online.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Dr. Barnett, can you elaborate on part-time, as in maybe give us an idea of scheduling and so on?
Okay.
And
Okay, great.
access to material, meaning
Mhm.
is it that you have to log on at a set time, or can you have access to lectures and so on at, when it's
Okay.
appropriate for you?
Okay, so the lectures are given online and via Zoom. And what I've seen so far, it's from 6 to 9 Jamaican time. And assignments are given, and persons have to show up at class, because part of your grading has to do with your attendance and how you complete your assignments. The lectures are accessible, just like we have what you call office hours for your face-to-face lecturers. That also is there. I remember when I was at Uwi that Prof. Shirley would say, you have to read for your degree. And so, and they were saying that at the undergrad level. So can you imagine when you get to the master's level, what that means? It means that some of your learning has to be self-directed. Okay. 45 hours per module is not enough to get you to where you want to go. For every 3 hours, you need to put in at least 6 hours of work on your own. You know that. So what you put into the program is what you get out of it. Every master's program that I know of, 45 hours is the standard time for a module, and 3. Well, it depends, because when you do your MBA, if you're going EMBA, if you're going to Mona School of Business, they have sometimes lectures that are 6 hours long, because it's a different kind of persons they are going for. So generally, master's programs run each module 45 hours per module, and 3 hours per unit or per class. Aldi, does that answer your question?
Yes, that is a little clearer. So you pretty much, as Javaria asked, if you're doing part-time, then it means you'd be doing less courses than someone who would be full-time. So you would just have to pick the days.
The program is not offered full-time.
Okay.
The program is not offered full-time. The program is offered online evening. That's how the program is offered.
Okay, but I kind of wanted to have an idea in terms of course load. So, so like, is it like 3 modules that you would maximum that you're able to do?
Okay. All right. What we find now, as it is now, let me tell you what pertains. What pertains is that everybody does one module. So everybody is doing on Monday, when our next module starts, which is assessments in the forensic setting, everybody is coming to do that. And then we have a set of the last cohort that has come in, they are going to do psychopathology. And so everybody in that cohort is going to do psychopathology. What we have heard persons asking, there are some of the courses, the modules that come with prerequisites. So you won't be able to do psychotherapy if you have not done psychopathology. You're not going to be able to do that. You could do trafficking in persons and assessments if you haven't done. Those have no prerequisites. And so what persons have been asking us is whether or not they can do 2 modules per semester. So on Tuesday, we'll do psychopathology, and on maybe Thursday, we'll do another thing. That all depends. It's something we have to look at. What we don't want is to water down the program so that persons don't get to put in the work. Things are not surface. When you get to the master's level, you have to understand everything. You have a dot up there and you have to tie it with another one up there and you have to tie it up. That calls for a lot of reading. And so we haven't tested it as yet. I want to do that testing. I've spoken to Dr. Thompson about that to see whether persons are able to manage 2 modules at a time. I'm not saying it is impossible, but I'm saying that we have to take into consideration the course load. And I believe that as leaders of the program and directors of the program, that it is important that we don't get persons frustrated in the program. Joe?
Right. I think this is my final question.
No, it doesn't have to be. I have all the time in the world.
Okay, thank you. So the prerequisites that you mentioned, is it prerequisite from your bachelor's degree that you would have completed at Uwi, or is it that you would have to do prerequisites upon joining the institution?
Okay, so remember, once you're going to make your application, you have to submit your transcript. And if your transcript, and I believe that all of you here are in psychology, so none of you here will have to do any prerequisites. Okay? So you would enter the program and start at the master's level.
Okay, all right.
If there's anybody here who has a degree in a undergrad, a BS in natural science, then I think you would have to do some prerequisites. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Dr. Barnett.
Yes.
I have another question.
Sure.
The cohort, I remember Dr. Thompson.
Yes.
He was saying that depending on the number of persons that they had would determine if, like for example, you do the summer program and so on. But generally for your regular course scheduling, like how many persons would make a cohort, for you to offer a particular course? Because I'm curious to know what this class size would be, seeing as everybody would be doing the same thing. Because that sounds to me like a lot of support, persons bonding and supporting each other. So I would just like to know what size we're talking about.
Okay, great. So you know that with every new things, persons take a while to see what will happen, etc., etc. So the maximum class size that we have had so far is 8 in a module. Okay. I believe that as soon as we start to blow our whistle and we have the Ministry of National Security behind us and they are waiting on our graduates, I believe that we will start having an overrun of applications or applicants. And so at this point in time, the maximum that we have had in a cohort is 8. If you want to know what would make up a cohort for us, what would make it relevant for us, 15.
Okay, thank you. So these 8 persons, for argument's sake, would be going from one course to the next.
Yes,
level,
right,
that kind
right,
of
right,
thing.
right. Joe, you want to ask another question?
No, my apology. I'm so sorry.
All right. And remember, I'm just excited about the meal. Okay?
Okay, no problem. I'll do remember that. You know, when I reach out to you on etc. I'll remember that.
No problem. No problem. Is L-E-I Lee pronounced Lee? Is that Lee? All right. So Aldith, I think that my time has expired.
Well, if there are no other questions, because usually we schedule to go up to 3:30. So if it is
Okay.
that you have another session to do and you have to leave us and there are no other questions. Guys, no other questions. They were so excited when I said someone will be coming to speak about forensic. I can't believe you guys are going so silent.
My question it would be about the contact info. How do we contact you, Dr. Margaret?
All right. Aldith,
Yes, Dr. Bennett.
you want to share you can share my email and also contact number. Let me give you the Jamaica Theological Seminary's email address. 1 second.
So is that how you'd like us to contact you, through the JTS address?
Let me tell you something, Aldith. Are you with me come from, you know? So me know how to boss and time. So me want to sound professional and give you the professional thing, but you can give my number. I'm fine. I am fine. Anything works for me.
You know, Dr. Barnett, at Uwi now, persons really like to be up close and personal. So we're very good with number and personal email address.
All right. So you can circulate that for me. I'm fine with that. Okay. And I do answer my things. I may not be able to do everything at the same time, but I do respond. And especially when it comes on to young people. I'm just so excited. You'll never understand how excited I am to be here and talking about psychology and just to get you guys interested. I'm begging you, please stay with psychology. We need persons, okay?
Yes, Dr. Barnett. And guys, I can vouch for that. She's very responsive. And I texted her at an ungodly hour and I was very surprised she responded. So, but please don't follow my bad example.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I really would love to see if I would make a blog for the program and for JTS. I would love to see some of you, even 5. I can't say that that you know there's any scholarships or anything like that. I can't say that. What I know, where I sit at the regional level, 2766803. Yes, where I sit at the regional level, we're looking at how we can offer scholarships to young people so that they can continue in psychology. And continue with it in the Caribbean. And continue with it in Jamaica. Because even though we're Caribbean people, every culture is not the same. You understand? And so there's a Jamaican culture. And if there's any Trini here or Bajan, you know that there's a different culture. And so it is important, and I'm pleading with you guys, please, let's try and build Jamaica. You see what is happening in terms of violence and crime in Jamaica. I think that there's a place for forensic psychologists. There is a place. And it doesn't have to be in the reactive thing. So we're reacting and say, oh, it can be in the proactive sense. I hope you all find a way to go on to your masters. And I am putting up my 2 hands. I am here. Call. You don't know, but there's money. There's money out there. There are people out there. This conversation is not about me, but I want to make it to say to you that there are those of us who are willing to help. I remember one student at UWI had registered in medicine, very bright guy. And I love the boys, eh? Not calling any of your boys here, but at my age, I can call you guys boys. And he was struggling. And I went up to UWI and I looked at the lady who was in charge of whatever. And she said, how can I trust you? I said, you don't have to wonder if you can trust me. Well, there are so many things that you can do. I don't want to say a lot, but there are fundings out there. There are once you want to start, just start. Just start. There are psychologists, seasoned psychologists who need just people to come and just understudy them, and you're learning while you're doing, and as you learn the thing, you're helping out to do it, of course, under supervision. Stay and stick. Stick and stay. That's what the young people say, stick and stay. Stick and stay with psychology. And there are old people like us who will find a way to make it happen for you. And I will say that encouraging you to stay in forensic psychology. Stay in forensic psychology. Denise says that she has never come across any scholarship where psychology is concerned. Well, I've never looked for any scholarship for psychology. I look for scholarship for young people. You understand? And I pressure my friends who have benefited from things, and I say to them, you have to give back. You have to pay forward. You understand? Part of your society is how to connect you. That is the connection that is made. And I'm just going to encourage you all as young people, bright and bushy-tailed and excited. And I would love to hear from some of you. Stick with forensic psychology. And I'm proud. I really am telling you that I'm proud. When we advertised forensic psychology some years ago, people said, Jamaica Theological Seminary, what a seminary doing with that? And I'm so happy that we continued on our path. And part of it is the connections that you make in society and how your students represent you. And so here we are today. Thank you so much, Aldith. I really do appreciate it that you invited us here and you accommodated us on our platform. I trust that you found the conversation rewarding. I did find it inspiring. And Dr. Thompson, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to say to these young people as they are trying to make some decisions about how they move forward with their education.
I would encourage them to call on you, Dr. Barnett.
Come on, Doc.
It was a pleasure sharing and listening to the questions and the evidence of interest in the field. And I'm personally looking forward to engaging any student, any members of this group who would like to study at JTS.
Yeah. The good thing about studying at a small university is that you get some hand holding, and that sort of thing. Not saying that you didn't get it at UWI and thing, but it makes sense. And you take us at our word that as a psychologist, I say what you say and what you do must match up. That's where integrity comes in. You understand? And so I understand all this. And you never asked me permission to broadcast it on YouTube and all of that. Suppose me I say foolishness. And you make them lock me up.
I actually mentioned it that we
All right.
we
It's okay.
stream on YouTube.
I'm pulling your legs. I'm pulling your legs. Okay. And so when we come here, we're coming as persons with integrity and the institution of integrity, and we're saying that we would like to see you there. Aldith, I can talk to you some more. Maybe if one of you encourage, can bring 5 persons with you, maybe you'll be able to get a discount on your fee. But is it Brittany or Brittany? Brittany, I just want to say to you that talk to Levon. Levon is still here about shadowing and helping other psychologists. And I'm looking for a bright one to do some work. And it becomes volunteer in the initial phase, but the learning and the network, I should say this, part of studying at the master's level is not just the book work, but it is the network, the networking, how you get to know your lecturers and how you get to know other persons. And what we have found, the person who gave you my name has a broad network. And how do you use the network? Part of studying at the master's level is the networking. You understand? The networking. And so, hey, I know Denise, let me call up Denise and see if she would work for you. You understand? And sometimes you may have to work pro bono until you get somewhere, because people just want to see what you can give. Attitude is a whole heap of it. 99% of your success is your attitude. And so you're taking me into another realm now. Young people, it was my pleasure. Brittany.
Yes, it's Brittany.
Brittany, good. I have a Brittany, so it's Brittany. All right. So I just want to thank you. The Lord bless you. And I wish you all the best, all the very best in whatever your endeavors are. I continue to root for the Jamaica Theological Seminary and the Masters of Art in Forensic Psychology. Persons keep asking me, why are you doing it? Because you don't need to do it. I want to do it because I want to stand with the first batch of persons who will graduate as forensic psychologists. Okay? Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. The pleasure is mine. And Dr. Thompson has already said that.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Marisha? Okay.
Marisha.
Good evening,
Happy
everyone.
birthday to you. Go ahead, Marisha.
Thank you. On behalf of the Psychology Students Association, we want to heartily thank you for this talk. For a course that's so highly sought after, not much emphasis is usually placed on it. And to come with such an informative set, to put this advice and to really speak from your heart, because I think that you've actually genuinely reached out to us, is completely appreciated. I would also like to thank you for the contacts that you placed out, and just the different approaches that many of us who may have had challenges getting into education, finalizing what we want to do, and getting to at least considering the master's level. Thank you for paving a way and also giving advice to that. And just have a pleasant day. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My honor. Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye, Dr. Barnett. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you so much for coming at this short notice. I know a lot of you didn't know that we had this planned, and I really appreciate the support you've given Psychology Students Association over the year. I encourage you to take advantage of everything that Dr. Barnett and Dr. Thompson have offered, and also please become a member of JamPsych. There are so many benefits. You get to do the networking, you get to be in the know, And one of the things that PSA has really tried to do this year is to leverage all of the contacts. And my team will tell you, I have no shame, Dr. Barnett. The only thing you can tell me is no.
Yes.
But I am going to reach out. Where any little lead that I come across,
Yes.
I am going to reach out, because even if I cannot benefit personally, I'm sure there are hundreds of other persons who can benefit. So guys, please share the knowledge, share the link for this YouTube. I am sure there are many persons who would be interested. Don't be shy, share it. We don't have any copyright. We don't want to claim any copyright on it where it's restrictive. Please share and share and share so you can make someone's life better. Thank you so much for joining us. At this time, we want to say enjoy the rest of your summer. If you're doing any courses over the summer, please ace them, not on the surface, but ace them really deeply. All right? Make sure you know your material and do well. And we will see you. Well, we may just make a brief guest appearance in the new semester because myself and the team were out of here. But we will just be a phone call away. You all have our numbers, right? And we'll just follow in Dr. Barnett's footsteps. We are here for you. Right? Bye.
You should have put 2 and 2 together.
We just realized now, passion. All right, this one, the other day,
All right, guys. Thank you for coming out. Bye.